From the Center for the Study and Teaching of Writing at The Ohio State University, this is Writers Talk. I'm Doug Dangler. I am today coming to you from the beautiful campus of Fort Hays with WCBE. And today I am very lucky to have in studio Tish Hinojosa and Marvin Dykhouse, who are in town to do a performance. And we're going to talk to them about writing, songwriting, and all kinds of other things. So stick around. Let's start off with Tish, who I know the most about, and then I'll have Marvin tell me a little bit more about his background and all the fun, cool things that he's done. Tish was born and raised in San Antonio, the youngest of 13, which is a difficult position as the youngest of 3. I feel your pain. She's won the Texas Album of the Year, and her album Culture Swing won the NAIRD Indie Folk Album of the Year. She has 20 albums so far, right?
Actually, 15.
15? Okay, some of them are reprints then.
There's some compilations
Amazon
and stuff out there.
Okay, so you've got but they all have a variety of influences and interest, from country to folk to Mexican love ballads to mysticism. She currently lives in Hamburg, Germany, where she is at work on a biographical DVD about her music career and a book about her family and her life. Her latest album is Our Little Planet, which is a mix of bluegrass, contemporary folk, and Tex-Mex. And Marvin Dykhouse is here on the guitar and the mandolin. And so how did you two meet? How did you begin working together? What's the story there?
Well, I'll say a little bit about Marvin first.
Okay.
I moved to Austin in 1988. I'm originally from San Antonio, but I spent a chunk of years in my 20s like living in Nashville and New Mexico and stuff. But I came back to Texas in 88, moved to Austin, and my first summer there, in summer of 88, I met Marvin Dykhouse. People were telling me, because I was looking for musicians to play with, and everybody said, oh, you should know Marvin Dykhouse. And Marvin's originally from Racine, Wisconsin, but he had come down a few years before that, somewhere in the mid-'80s, I guess. And wonderfully, we started playing together and just kind of hit it off right away. And then right around that time, I got my record deal with A&M Records, and so then it was time to go into the studio, then go on the road. And before we know it, here 20 years later and 15 or 20 records later.
20 or 22 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
15 or 20 records.
15 or 20.
Okay.
Five
We were
or four
looking for
times.
ballpark estimates here. We don't.
And so Marvin, I'm so glad that he's played on almost all my records and toured almost. I mean, we've toured around the world together and all across Europe and the United States. And Marvin also plays with a lot of other Texas artists, and he's quite. I have to get in line to get on Marvin's. To get Marvin to go on the road these days, because everybody wants Marvin on the road.
So a lot of Wisconsinites playing Texas music, is that?
No, not usually. There's a few of us there, actually.
Okay. Well, I thought at first that your new disc, Our Little Planet, might be a continuation of sort of the youth songs that you did on Cada Niño, which is Every Child, but that's not the case. So tell me about this new album.
Well, maybe the song itself sounds a little bit. It's quite. The title song to Our Little Planet is quite playful. It's a playful song, but it's a lot of my children's record was totally bilingual, Spanish English, and Our Little Planet is only the title song that's bilingual. But I think on most of my records I always include some Spanish material, whether it's a beautiful old Spanish ballad, because I love Spanish ballads and old Mexican songs, but or something that I write, but. For Our Little Planet, it was more like just bringing the Spanish in to introduce it to kind of like, because I call it a Tex-Mex bluegrass record. Mm-hmm. We have dobros, mandolins, banjo, lots of 3-part harmonies and things like that. But a couple of the songs do have a real Mexican feel to them too. So that to me is kind of like the mixing of cultures, which I love doing.
Okay. Well, like you said, you've written a lot of bilingual lyrics, Spanish and English, and sometimes you supply them for the same album, for the same songs as you did in Dreaming from the Labyrinth. Mm-hmm. You're looking at, I had mispronounced this earlier, I'm going to try Sonar del Labyrinto.
Soñar del Laberinto.
See, this is why I don't.
They're very close. You're close. Very close.
2 years of Spanish. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me about expressing yourself in 2 languages, because it's clearly not something that I do well. Tell me about writing in 2 different ways of expressing yourself.
Actually, the reason I do it, it's more of a practice because I don't speak that much Spanish anymore. Because I grew up, my parents were from Mexico, and so all my growing up years, I spoke, of course, a lot of Spanish. And then once I've, left home, left the state, left the country, Spanish has not been that necessary for me. But so when I was in my 20s, it was important to continue my language. And so songwriting, especially like living in Nashville and stuff like that, I felt very isolated from my culture. And that's when I think it was important to hang on to my mother tongue by playing with songwriting. And so some of the very first songs I wrote were bilingual pieces, like Who Showed You the Way to My Heart. Or the very first thing I ever did was translate the song Always, the Irving Berlin song. I recorded that on Towster, Tennessee in 1988. And so for me it was a way of practicing my language and actually playing with it, so it makes me work harder to find rhymes find rhymes that particularly like in songs that I've done totally bilingual. For me, I'll think of the idea, or something will come to me in English or in Spanish, and then I have to try to like mirror reflect that, and also try to find words that work and also that rhyme. So it's kind of like a puzzle for me, and I really enjoy doing that.
Okay. So you've worked your ideas out, starting in English and then going into Spanish, and then starting in Spanish and translating to English.
Right. Sometimes they go, crisscross.
Okay. Is there a particular way that you find works better, or is it always just the way that the phrase occurs?
Spanish is a really round and pretty language, and I really find...
What are you saying about English here? No.
English is kind of like this,
Yeah.
and Spanish is wavy and soft and round.
Okay.
And I enjoy working. I mean, the words are so, you can say something actually a little more, I don't want to say trite, because I hope my songs aren't trite, but you can say something a lot more simple, and it just sounds really beautiful in Spanish. And English is just English. It's kind of a textbook language. Kind of like German.
Okay.
And now I'm learning German.
I was going to say you're living in Hamburg now,
Yes.
and that has to be something different with the language. Like you said, learning German seems a step apart. So you'll be trilingual.
I hope so. I mean, I would imagine I'm heading in that direction, and I've got the rest of my life to learn it, because it's probably going to take the rest of my life.
Okay.
German is a very hard language, and the grammar is very complicated. So I think
Yes.
I'll be very smart by the time I finish learning German.
Okay. So now, have you written lyrics together? Is that something that you...
Actually, we have not written lyrics together. We write mainly the music, but I've written lyrics together with many other people actually in
Marvin
Austin,
writes a lot.
but not in this configuration.
Okay.
Marvin will write music, and sometimes
Because Tish is such a great lyricist that she pretty much handles.
Well,
that.
when we're working in the studio together, when a song needs an arrangement, or we hit an arrangement wall, a song needs something else. If it needs a bridge or a chorus or something, Marvin will usually think of something musically, and then I'll put some words to that, and then it usually ends up just working fine.
Okay. So, to sidetrack, tell me about working with lyricists that you've worked with to create, since this is Writers Talk.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, tell me how that process has worked for you.
It's very interesting. In fact, I just got an email from somebody who wants me to do some music for their lyrics. But actually, what happens is I co-write a lot with. I have a 3 or 4 people in Austin that I write with, and we will come up with an idea or a line or a hook or whatever, and we will just pound it out, and we will, 3 of us will sit down and throw stuff out, reject and rewrite, and we do it that way. Or I have collaborated with a poet a few times, and the poetry is a little confining in it, where it's like it doesn't always feel like a song. It feels more like a poem. So then I would take it and adjust it, and maybe try to keep the imagery, but make it rhyme more like a song form.
Right.
So that's interesting. I do a lot of interesting stuff like that with people.
What makes you say, it's not I want to try to chase that down. It's not a song yet, it's a poem, or it's changing that. What is the sort of technical or the feeling that you get that you say, this is how I'm going to make that into a song?
It's kind of weird. Like, it's not like da 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 da. It's not like that, because you don't want a song. A song doesn't want to. You don't want to feel like that. So you actually have to kind of maybe even play with the rhymes, maybe unrhyme something, if that's possible, to make it just feel more like conversation rather than prose or something. You know what I mean? It kind of maybe it brings it down to a lower level or something, but it more understandable. Or more, it just feels to me. It feels better in a song form if you don't necessarily just take a poem and turn it into a song. Does that make any sense? I hope it makes sense.
Yeah. Do you write poetry as well, or
No?
Do you write?
I just write songs.
I know that you're writing other things.
You know, I've wondered if, I mean, what happens when you separate the music from the lyrics? Are the lyrics alone a poem?
Yeah.
I don't think since
I asked myself that question because I kind of wonder, could this just be a poem?
They actually, I think they are, and they don't know. I'm not sure what the form is or whatever, what you would call it, but I think that's always to me a fun thing to do is to look at the lyrics on a record and see how they stand up by themselves.
Yeah.
Without listening to the music.
Right, and you've got your lyrics for several of the albums, 4 or 5 albums, on your website at mundotish.com, which is Tish's world.
Right, Tish's
so
world.
It's all about you. You get to inhabit
it's not
your
all
own.
about. Well, yes, I guess it is all about me, but not in that way. It's where people go for information, tour dates, bio, all the discography and all that kind of stuff.
And you've got a thing on there called Tish's Corner, where it's a blog that you update every now and then, and I found it interesting to read because it read kind of like a Christmas letter, really. The idea of this is where we're going and this is what we've done and all that kind of stuff. You talk about going out to in Hamburg to clubs and things like that, being very jealous,
dancing to 60s music till 7 o'clock in the morning,
till dawn, yes. Or past dawn. So tell me about what makes you sit down and write one of those.
I think people, because I feel that my fans are my friends, and people just like, I hope people like to be like just kind of updated, and it's funny. I mean, I guess it could also be my platform to, I don't know, bitch about things or talk about political issues, and I guess I have sometimes touched on things or that I feel, but you're right. I try to make it almost more like a Christmas letter because it's more like a friendly thing. It's not a rage against the machine, blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. I don't do a lot of that. For me, it's just like the friendly. Hey, I'm here. Here's what I'm doing now. I'm working on this. I just wrote a song, and I just went dancing till dawn.
Yeah. Okay. Good. The last question I have is you're working on an autobiography. Tell me what got you into that and how it's going.
Because every time when I do shows, particularly when we do real intimate, like just us two, Marvin and I, are like a trio or something, when it's an intimate show or solo, I talk between the songs, or I tell something about the songs. And I wrote several songs of my repertoire are about my family or inspired by my family. And so there's always introductions where I talk about my life and my family and my upbringing. And whenever I talk to people after the shows, they always say, some of my favorite parts of your shows are when you just talk about about your life, and that kind of got me thinking. Then a few people have kind of said you should write your life story because it's really interesting, and all these things you've done, and so I finally started taking it seriously. I mean, I like to write, and of course I write songs, and I think just writing in general, I think it's kind of scary to go into. I mean, I've never written anything maybe an essay or something. So I'm just kind of looking at it that way. I'm just writing my essay like kind of to an outline, like the outline of my life, this part, this part, this part. And, I mean, it has been fascinating. I mean, for me, I didn't expect that I'd be doing what I do, and I'm happy about it. And really, I've had a chance to do some really wonderful things and meet some wonderful people.
Okay. And you go back, and then you can look in the past, and you have letters or photos and things like that, and say, "Oh, this is what happened then." And
well, lots of
yourself.
photos. And yeah, I mean, growing up in a big family like I did was really. I mean, to me, I love remembering all the stuff we used to do because it was just wild and fascinating to me.
And they're there to keep you honest as well, to say, "Oh, that's not what happened. You've got 12 other people or so."
Actually, it's good. It's good to find. I'm really enjoying that. 'Cause it's getting my older sisters and brothers to talk more about our life. Yeah. I like that because I hear different perspectives. Actually, there's stories from before my life because I'm the last one born. So then they're filling me in on what happened before I came along.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're, well, you don't know this, but blah blah blah. I hear them. So it gets everyone talking among themselves, and I think it's really funny.
That can
So,
be
so I think it's in a way it's kind of our family project, like because everybody is interested to know. You know.
That's cool.
And that can be really life affirming if you disagree on something that happened in your past.
Yeah.
And there's always probably two ways to look at things.
Well,
too.
and people, you know, one, you know, any situation has
Yeah.
a few different perspectives, which is really funny.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much both
Thank
for
you.
being here, and we're going to hear some songs now, and we'll switch over to that. So Tish Hinojosa and Marvin Dykhouse. I was stumbling over the pronunciation. Sorry. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
being
having
here.
us.
Thanks, Doug.
Pleasure.
Okay.
1,
2, 3, 4. Bajo el cielo de azul canta mi alma sincera. He pasado por donde quiera, sobre estos llanos y sierras. No me mires de extranjero, somos pasajeros no más. El sol y la luna nos brillan igual, rodando aquí en nuestra tierra. Quiero saber tu historia, tus sueños y tu desear. Yo pienso que nuestros cuentos serían casi igual. No me mires de extranjero, somos pasajeros no más. El sol y la luna nos brillan igual, rodando aquí en nuestra tierra. Over these hills, plains, and mountains, under the big sky of blue, my heart will tell you a story. Your heart can tell me one too. We don't seem too much like strangers. We're doing the best that we can. The sun and the moon shine above as we circle below here on our little planet. Bajo el cielo de azul canta mi alma sincera. He pasado por donde quiera, sobre estos llanos y sierras. No me mires de extranjero, somos pasajeros no más. El sol y la luna nos brillan igual, rodando aquí en nuestra tierra. The sun and the moon shine above as we circle below here on our little planet. Mom and Dad have worked the fields. I don't know how many years. I'm just a boy, but I know how. And go to school when work is slow. We have seen our country's roads, Bakersfield And when troubles come our way, oh yeah, I've seen my daddy pray. There's something wrong with little sister. I hear her crying by my side. Mama's shaking as she holds her. We try to hold her through the night. And Mom says, close your eyes, mijito. Dream of someplace far from here, like the pictures in your school books. Someday you can take us there. There must be something in the rain. I'm not sure just what that means. Abuelita talks of sins of man, of dust that's in our hands. There must be something in the rain. Well, what else could cause this pain? Those airplanes cure the plants so things can grow. Oh no, it must be something in the rain. Little sister's gone away. Mama's working long again. And me, I think I understand about our life, about our land. Well, talkers talk and dreamers dream. Between, I'm afraid, but I believe that we can change these hurting fields. 'Cause there's something in the rain, but there's more here in our hands. Abuelita's right about the sins of man, whose prophets rape the land. And the rains are pouring down from the growers to the towns. And until we break the